Hello, I'm Vegas Vic, and this is a very difficult video for me to make. That's because I'm going to talk to you about the death and murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. I really hate putting in my 2 cents worth in my opinion on matters of social circumstance or injustice. But I cannot stand idly by and see yet another innocent, unarmed black man be victimized by some, unfortunately, uninformed and perhaps rogue police officers. Now, please understand that for all of my life, I have been a vocal supporter of law enforcement here in Las Vegas. For the 37 years that I have lived in this wonderful city, I have been a supporter of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I number among there several friends who are decent and honest and caring law enforcement officers. And I would be the first one in line to stand and defend them against any accusations because they have a difficult job to do. But the story from Minneapolis and that white police officer who kept his knee on the neck of George Floyd when he was lying on the street, already handcuffed, posing no threat, and for that man to have his knee on his carotid artery, which is this artery here, which supplies blood to the brain, and to so apparently gleefully dig his knee into this man's neck, even after the man said that he could not breathe, even after the man had already passed out for nearly 3 minutes. That is unconscionable, and it is a terrible blight on the wonderful history of honest and dedicated and just law enforcement. I simply could not believe that this was happening, that this officer, who knew that he was being recorded and who apparently gleefully looked into the camera and dug his knee into this poor man's neck even more and twisted it and apparently enjoyed the process. This is murder in the first degree in my mind. And the fact that the other police officers who stood there idly and did not render assistance to George Floyd, did not even turn to their fellow officer and say, "Look, man, this is enough. This man is not resisting. Take your knee off his neck. Let the man breathe." The fact that neither of those 3 other officers there did that makes them complicit in the blatant murder of George Floyd. There were other people there, passers-by, ordinary people, who were telling those other officers that George Floyd is being killed. And even George Floyd himself said in some of his last words that, quote, "They're killing me," unquote. And how prophetic that was. It is a difficult subject and a difficult video for me to make here because it is just terrible. You see, the death of any human being diminishes me because I participate in mankind. My mom died and her last words were, "I can't breathe." I wasn't there to help her. But there were many other people there to help George Floyd, and they did nothing. And that is a terrible testimonial to the way that our society has degenerated in recent years. I also have a few words to say to those protesters. Looting, burning, and destroying your own communities is not the way to honor the memory and life of George Floyd. What will be remembered in the days to come from the death of George Floyd will not be the injustice done to him, but the violence and the chaos and the terrorism and the anarchy of those that were supposedly protesting the social injustice that was done to him. This is not the way to do this. If you have learned anything from history, then I would like to ask you to learn from the words of Martin Luther King Jr. and his principle of nonviolent protest. Violence only breeds violence, And violence will bring nothing more than more disgrace to the black communities, minority communities, or to anyone who wishes to protest the acts of government or law enforcement. Colin Kaepernick may have been vilified for kneeling during the national anthem. I don't believe that it is correct to kneel during the national anthem, and certainly not on the job. But I do understand his protest, and I do understand why he did this. I think LeBron James, I'm not sure whether I have it correct, but I think LeBron James posted a photograph on social media showing Colin Kaepernick kneeling, and then a picture of that white police officer kneeling on the neck of George Floyd. And the caption said, "Now do you understand why?" And so I would like to say that yes, we do understand why. Some of us do. One of my best friends is a black man, and I have never once thought of him as anything other than a friend. It's not a case of black and white. It's not a case of minority or majority. It's not a case of justice or injustice. It is a case of unity. We either are e pluribus unum, as it says on our money and our coin, out of many we are one, or we're not. And what is happening now is clearly dividing our nation even further. And I am sad that this is happening. There are many law enforcement officers, the majority of which are decent, kind human beings who would never do what was done to George Floyd. And so I ask everybody, black, white, citizen, law enforcement, any nationality, any color, creed, religion, or belief, please remember that the legacy of George Floyd should not be violence and anarchism, but it should be a cry for justice. And that if we all pull together, there will be justice from both sides, so that neither side is complicit in anything that further degenerates and degrades the great nation that this became, founded on the principles that all persons are created equal. And so this is my opinion, and my only, and my 2 cents worth, for whatever it's worth. Thank you for watching. Bye.